Hi, I'm Stacy, and this is Callie. We are from Lee and Stacy Do Finance, and today we are going to be talking about how we budget at least a month in advance. It is something that we have been working towards since we started using YNAB, and it's definitely not something that you need to be using YNAB for. It's just not something that I knew about, I guess, when I was doing my spreadsheets manually with Excel spreadsheets or just writing them down. So YNAB definitely helps me move forward, but it's not a necessary thing. So if you're not using YNAB, you can definitely do it yourself. So looking at this calendar, I'm pretty sure the reason I was never able to budget a month in advance was because I always budgeted based on the calendar month rather than based on a pay schedule. So the best we would ever do would be to make an extra mortgage payment on the months that Lee would get paid 3 times rather than 2 times. So July of 2020, he's getting paid on the 3rd, the 17th, and the 31st. So we used to have our mortgage payments set for our old house to pay every 4 weeks. So it would end up going out on the 6th of July, and then it would go out again on the 3rd of August. It wouldn't necessarily be within that same month that the payments were being made, but it would be an extra payment towards the mortgage. That would get paid 13 times and kind of cut down on the balance remaining because we'd be making an extra payment, but it was only going to the regularly scheduled bill pay that we had set automatically. So if I wanted to actually budget in advance, I would have had to do our budgets based on the highlighted weeks for each month. So for March of 2020, we would actually be budgeting that as February 2nd through February 29th. And that's definitely not how I had done things, but if I wanted to budget in advance, that's how I would have had to do it. I feel like YNAB and the methodology that they have to use the software makes it easier for you to budget in advance than what spreadsheets do as far as not having that. But I know a lot of people do budget based on their actual pay schedule rather than a calendar month. And if that's how you are doing your budget, then it's probably easier to get a month ahead with your budget than it is if you're actually budgeting based on the calendar month. This is my method for how we have gotten to the point where we are budgeted a month in advance, and hopefully early next year will be 2 months in advance, which will be awesome. You gonna keep hanging out with me?
If I must.
Yeah, okay, let's do this. So the 2020 calendar we have up here has different dates circled, and those are Lee's pay days. He gets paid every other week on Friday, so that is scheduled out for the rest of the year because it's a routine schedule. We know that he will be getting paid on those days. My pay is a little bit more erratic. I work 2 jobs for the first half of the year and only 1 during the second half of the year. But because of everything that's been going on so far in 2020, the pay schedule has been a bit off. I'm working remotely from 1 job and not working the other one at all. At this point, that has changed, and because my hours are reduced, because there's not quite as much for me to do remotely as in person, I am also receiving unemployment checks. So there's some weeks where I have 3 paychecks that came through, other weeks where I have none. I don't have anything planned as far as when I'll get paid for the rest of the year. Oh, thank you for the kisses.
You're welcome.
And I will just mark those off on the calendar as I actually receive that income. You done?
Yes.
You want down?
Yes, please.
Yeah, let's go down, huh? Go down. There you go. Good girl. Callie has decided she has better things to do, so we are going to continue forward without her. Because Lee gets paid every other week, that is 26 pays per year. That comes out to the equivalent of 13 months of 4 weeks, basically. Since there's 12 calendar months, we have basically an extra month of pay each year which is what allows us to actually get ahead with our budget. On the calendar, each month has a color associated with it. So that's, if you look at February of 2020, it is orange, and January of 2020 is blue. At the beginning of the year in January, we were not fully funded a month ahead. What that means is that all of the pay for those 4 weeks was not completed prior to the month of January starting. So February is orange, and that is closer, but there's one day in that 4-week span from January 5th through February 1st. So February 1st is in the month of February, so we were not a month ahead there. For March, which is green, we were able to budget that between February 2nd and February 29th, which means that was our first month that we were funded 1 month in advance. So as the month goes on, we're not fully a month ahead, so our goal is really to end up 2 months ahead or even more than that, and we are making progress towards that. So on the first of the month, our mortgage normally comes out, so on March 1st, when our mortgage was paid, we were no longer a month ahead because we hadn't received a paycheck to start funding the next month yet, which might seem confusing, but it makes sense to me and Lee. March was fully funded in February. April was fully funded in March. And also in March, we started funding May, so the 29th, 30th, and 31st. We didn't actually get paid then, but because it's the start of that 4-week period for funding, that any money we would have earned during that time would be going towards our May budget. We are currently in July, and all of July was funded as of June 20th. We currently have 2 paychecks that were mine that came in on the 23rd and the 24th that are going to August's budget. And then Lee will also be getting paid today, which will also go towards August's budget. So we will have a video once it'll be after the 18th, because that'll be the end of our budget month. And that will show how we actually budget ahead for the month of August. And because that will be budgeted before the end of July, we'll actually have our August budget video available before our July wrap-up video. And if we go further through the year, the month of December is going to be really close to having 4 full weeks of budgeting towards February of 2021. We're going to be just 2 days short. So I'm guessing, without actually pulling up a calendar of 2021, that January or February will probably have full funding for 2 months in advance, which will be awesome to have gotten to that point. And then that's just more of a buffer for us, and we'll always have a full month budgeted ahead of where we are, and usually it'll be closer to 2 months of extra funding for where we are. That is an extra precaution to not have to go into our emergency fund for anything. Any extra money that we have once everything's budgeted will be split between our car loan repayment and our wish list. So we usually stick with like a 50-50 split for that extra funding, and it will go towards extra loan payments and wish list for the month that we are currently in, not the month that we are necessarily budgeting for. So it's just a weird way that we do things, but it seems to work out pretty well for us, and I'm sure you'll be able to see that when we do our August budget video. That's all I've got for now. Thanks for watching.